Johnny FD. Well, I am so happy to meet you finally face to face across the world. I've been following you, man, for about a year and a half,
Oh,
living,
wow. Okay.
yeah, living the kind of dream life out there that I publicize and I do my best to live. You are at it full fucking force. So, uh, let me just give a quick introduction, man. So Johnny runs a podcast called Travel Like a Boss podcast. You run an annual event in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Is that right?
Yep.
Called the
The Nomad Summit.
the Nomad Summit for digital nomads. And if people don't know what that is, you will know by the end of this podcast. And I also saw you do the Nomad Cruise.
Yeah, I was just a participant and a speaker on the Nomad Cruise, and I actually just got off the boat 2 days ago, so I'm here in Greece where it landed.
You're in Athens. What's the Nomad Cruise, just so people know?
So my buddy Johannes decided, hey, there's these transitioning cruises where they go from one country to another, whether it's from somewhere in Europe to South America, or this one started in Spain and went to Greece. And they're these longer cruises. They're a lot cheaper because they have a lot of sea days. And traditionally, cruisers are people that are retired and
Right.
they just want to see a lot of countries. And a lot of people don't want to go on a cruise if there's a lot of days you just have to see because you're bored, there's nothing to do. So what he thought was, hey, why don't we get a bunch of digital nomads or entrepreneurs on board? On the days that we are on land, we can sightsee and do cool things. And the days that we're at sea, instead of just laying by the pool or being bored, we can do mini workshops or kind of like a mini conference where people can share skills, give talks, and just learn from each other.
That's awesome. I used to go on something called the Internet Marketers Cruise in the Caribbean, which also had the element of getting really drunk in various countries each day, and they all kind of blended into each other. But the idea was we had like 400 online entrepreneurs together, and we did workshops on like you said, on those travel days when you're sort of sailing out to the islands. Now, are you talking about like when they move ships from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean, Caribbean to Mediterranean?
Exactly.
That's a long trip.
Yeah, and sometimes they take 12 days. But the nice thing about it is, when you're on a boat, we had 250 people, all like-minded, all wanting location independence or freedom. Most of them already have some kind of online business, or at least they're trying to start one. And it's just a great way to get together.
I think the most important thing, there's Wi-Fi, obviously, right on the ship.
Well, no, so this one, yes, because we're in Europe, but usually the Wi-Fi isn't very reliable because you're just in the middle of the ocean. But what the talk I gave on the boat was about passive income and managing your time and automating your businesses. And that way, when you're on the ship without Wi-Fi, you're not stressing out. You're not worried about work not getting done. And you're not worried about going broke by having expenses go out without money coming in. So when I started my talk, I just had people raise their hand and I just said, hey, who here is just taking a complete vacation from work and just relaxing, and it's okay to do that as well. About a third of the room. Then a third of the room said that they had some kind of business going on where it's some kind of automated business with some kind of passive income. And my goal was really to get everybody to that point where they can just take a break but still make money. And I really think that's the ultimate, it's not even a dream. And I actually see the 4-Hour Workweek behind you. And that's the book that started it all.
Yeah.
And, it's the people that come to the Nomad Summit in Chiang Mai, it's the same thing. It's a little bit easier Wi-Fi wise because it's in a city. So you have internet, the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal, I think, is for everybody to have the option to be able to travel when they want, where they want, and not worry if they have, Wi-Fi or not, and work when they want to work.
I think you really kind of taken it next level, because when I was doing those internet marketing cruises, every time we pulled into port, it was like a mad dash for internet cafes, because people were going crazy online. It was a big step. For me, 2004 was when I went to my first sort of online entrepreneurship conference. I had been a screenwriter before that and a producer, and my career kind of ended super fast when reality TV came in. So I had like 3 movies canceled, 2 little kids, big house, 0 income, age 39. And I was going, wow, what else can I do? You know? So I was teaching and doing various things. And I went to my first internet marketing conference. I didn't even know what it was, but I just kind of knew it was the future and it felt right. And I sat there and I listened to everyone and I'm like, hang on a second, virtually infinite market. You can reach the whole world, virtually no startup costs. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, what's the catch? I'm like, there's no catch. And I went to the next person. Hang on a second. Virtually infinite market, virtually no startup costs. They're like, yeah, what's the catch? No catch. This is 2004, right? When you could launch an ebook and make 60 grand in 6 weeks, as I did the first time out. But you're like next generation because, you know, we were building businesses that had to be fed all the time. And I noticed, you know, when I look through your podcasts and your interviews and your blogging, you're smart about this stuff. You're building companies that run on automation so that you just came out of Nepal, didn't you?
Yeah, I was hiking in the Himalayas for 14 days without internet, without cell phone signal, and I just had to, out of necessity, have everything either automated or run by staff or VA or just really by software nowadays. And I think we're really lucky in 2018 this exists. This didn't even exist 5 years ago when I first started. You had to do everything kind of manually, and it was hard to have a piece of program or a piece of software that you could pay $30 a month to, or multiple pieces of programs to just basically do all the stuff for you.
All right. So half my audience is hating you right now because you've been to how many countries just this year?
I don't know. I didn't count, but in the last few years, it's been 40 plus.
Okay.
I actually try to, so I know last year, I think I traveled 17 countries while working online. And my goal is actually to travel a bit slower because I enjoy taking my time, getting a nice Airbnb once in a while for 1 or 2 months and just having a normal life again, joining a gym, getting to routine, and then building another business. And this is what I call growth mode, when you want to really build another business or streamline one. And then I like to be able to take off for another month or 2 and just travel a bit faster. So one of my big travel hacks that I've been doing recently is I have a big normal luggage that has, all my creature comforts. So if I'm somewhere for a month and I want to just kind of, be a bit more comfortable, have kind of nicer clothes, or even plug in my SNES, my Super Nintendo, I can. But then I have a smaller backpack in there that what I do now is I'll leave my main luggage in the main city where I know I'm going to fly in and out of. So here in Athens, Greece, I'm going to leave my luggage here, and then I'm just going to have a backpack, carry on only, and then I'm going to hop around all the islands. And that way I can enjoy the beautiful scenery for a few weeks, not bring too much stuff. And when I get back here, I have my big luggage, I can get an Airbnb, and I really think it's the best of both. I think we don't need to compromise anymore. 2018 and beyond with technology is just, it makes our lives so much easier.
I love that. That could be one of your slogans, is we don't need to compromise anymore. I like that. So what I was saying was half the audience is like hating you and wanting the secrets of your life. And the other half is like wondering, how do you do this? Like, what are these automated businesses that allow you and all your cohorts and students to travel like this? And we're paused. And we're back. So and we're not.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, hold on. I got knocked out here. Okay. What I was saying was that, half my audience is hating you on some level and envying you. I doubt it, actually. Actually, my audience tends to be very adventurous. But the other half, I'm sure, is wondering, okay, what the fuck are these businesses? Like, what are these businesses that you can go hiking for 14 days and not think about and travel across the ocean on a cruise? What are the businesses that are working today we call them digital nomads. I like the term, by the way, digital yes mads. I'm sure you've heard it. Probably other people haven't. Where you just say yes. Somebody says, hey, you want to come to Colombia? Yeah, I just went to Colombia for a month. All right. I'm like, yes, absolutely. I'll do that. So kind of say yes to the world. But what's working? Like, what are you guys doing?
So what's funny is when I first got started, I had no idea you can do any business online or create passive income in any way. And luckily, 5 years ago when I started, I didn't look too much. I just kind of thought about the first thing, and I was like, okay, I heard people publish books on Amazon. This seems like something that you can get a royalty from. That's pretty passive. What can I do to publish a book? And I didn't search too much. I didn't research the pros and cons, the downsides, the hurdles, because I guaranteed if I did, I probably wouldn't have started, because there were so many little things that I had to jump over, little hurdles and hoops. But I didn't know any better. So I was like, okay, I'm going to spend 2 months. I'm going to write this book about living cheaply in Thailand, which is what I knew about, because I was living in Thailand on a $600 a month budget from 2007 to 2013. This was after reading this is reading the 4-Hour Workweek, and not jumping the business route yet, just looking at the elimination portion and the living cheaply, the location arbitrage portion. I thought, hey, why don't I just sell all my stuff, move to Thailand, and see what happens. And I picked up odd jobs like working as a dive master, because I was really into scuba diving. Cool. I even lived at a Muay Thai camp for a while, and I was getting prize money by competing there. What? And it wasn't a lot of money. Yeah, I've done a lot of random things in my life.
I did some Muay Thai in Thailand, and it is nasty shit.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough sport, but really it was a good way to learn some valuable lessons, figure out who I am as a man, and really just develop as a person.
Nice.
Probably the best lesson I learned from it is you can't talk your way out of a fight when you're in a ring. I think in normal life we can talk our way in or out of a lot of things, but when you're in the ring, if you didn't train, if you didn't prepare, if you're not mentally tough, if you're not really going to step up as a man, you're going to get punched in the face, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Yeah. So I wrote a book about it. I wrote a book about not only just the journey of becoming a dive master, training and fighting Muay Thai, but also living cheaply in Thailand. I called it 12 Weeks in Thailand, The Good Life on the Cheap. And I put it on Amazon Kindle, not knowing if anybody would buy it, not knowing any marketing strategies, not knowing all the tech stuff, just step by step, just figured it out. And all of a sudden, I'm making $200 a month from this book. Okay. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. And in the US, it wouldn't be a big deal. And so to some people, they might be thinking, oh, that's not, very much money. I'm making $100,000 a year at my corporate job. But to me, I was like, wow, I've created a stream of income. What if I wrote 2 more books? That's my entire, living expenses. I can retire just off of this, these 3 books. So I ended up, years later, I ended up writing a second book called Life Changes Quick about goal setting. But honestly, I get bored of doing the same thing over and over. I always kind of want to, I think part of the excitement of being an entrepreneur is starting another business.
Absolutely.
So my second business was with e-commerce. And it actually kind of came about when I was trying to figure out ways to market my book better, or just be better at, online marketing to sell more books. And I would take people out to lunch that, you were interested in the 4-Hour Workweek or interested in business. And this is before the digital nomad term was popular. So I couldn't just, search for digital nomad groups. I had to just look for people on like meetup.com or, random places for, just people that are into business in general who happen to be traveling. And I met this guy named Anton who was really helpful. And he's like, yeah, you can optimize your titles and your descriptions here. You can, post your book in, these places. You can run ads. And then I was like, you know a lot about the, selling things online. What do you do? And he's like, oh, I do e-commerce. I sell, sell stuff online. And I'm like, what kind of stuff do you sell? Because he's traveling with me. He was in Thailand at the time. And he's like, oh, I sell furniture. Like, he's like, I sell, expensive furniture. And I thought, how are you selling furniture while you're here in Thailand?
Sitting on a beach in Thailand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it really opened my eyes to something called drop shipping, where it's just a business model where you become a dealer or an authorized dealer for a company. And when somebody orders something, instead of them shipping it to your warehouse and you forwarding it to your customer, they just ship it directly to the customer. And that business, starting that, was my first real source of income where instead of making $200 a month, I was making anywhere between 2,000 and sometimes up to 5,000 a month. And I thought, oh my God, this has actually replaced my corporate salary back in the US. I'm definitely not going home.
What were you doing? Well, it didn't sound like you were going home anyway. What were you doing corporate in the US before?
I worked for a company called Honeywell.
Yes, sure.
My title was accountant executive, which sounds fancy, but really I'm just account manager. I'm sitting in a cubicle. I'm forced to wear a shirt and tie every day. Oh. And it was dreadful. I mean, waking up and seeing, a closet full of Kirkland Signature Costco white dress shirts that are wrinkled and I have to iron them. I never want to do that again.
Dude, what happened? Like, what was your? Yeah, it's funny. When I was young, I was the same. I had to travel. And one summer, before I went to India for about 6 months, I took a job in a cubicle doing something, data processing, I think it's called. I don't even remember. And I remember saying to the woman next to me, who I kind of got to know over 2 months, I said, so tomorrow's my last day. I'm heading to India for 6 months. And she said something really interesting. She says, oh, you're taking a 6-month vacation? And I thought, and I went, I'm not vacating anything. I'm not, it's not an empty, I'm filling, and like that, the mindset was always there for me that like you fill your life, you don't vacate your work life. So you're there, you're with your Costco shirts, nice detail, by the way, as a writer, I appreciate that. So you're looking at these, what happened? Like how did you get from Honeywell to, the honeypot of Thailand?
So, I mean, to be honest, the first year, I was working at Honeywell, I loved it because it's something new. This is something I'd, worked my whole life towards. I got good grades in high school just so I can get to a good college, just so I can then, get the good corporate job. And I thought, this is it. I made it. I had a small expense account. I had little perks. Yeah. And I thought, I'm happy. This is it. But then I found myself just kind of surfing the internet half the day, and just not, just buying things online. I think I actually somehow got addicted to online shopping. And I think it was more about just being bored. I was bored at work. And then when I would get home to my studio apartment that I was paying way too much for because I was living in California, I thought, like, I'm lonely, I'm bored. Like, what else is there to life? So, I started spending a ton of money going to bars at night trying to pick up women, read the game. I thought, okay, this is it. This is happiness. And when I went to Thailand for the first time, I realized none of that mattered. I had just wasted, the last 5 years of my life trying to, impress women, trying to impress other guys. A lot of it was with, just buying things I didn't need, buying a nicer car, buying nicer clothes, buying, drinks at the club, sure. Learning, how to do magic so I can try to impress a girl, or learning some crazy pickup lines and things that weren't very deep or self-fulfilling. They were just, these silly things that really honestly just impressed other guys in my situation who were insecure about themselves or with women. And when I got to Thailand, I realized, man, nobody cares what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a $2 t-shirt, I'm wearing flip-flops. I'm just walking around on the beach. Food is cheap. Weather is great. The cost of living is next to nothing. And I thought, this is great, but, I don't have a reason to be here. And it wasn't until I went on my first scuba diving trip and I talked to my instructor, this guy named Rene Christophe. And I won't even remember him because, 5 years later, I actually reached out, sent him an email saying, hey, you changed my life. And never really got the reply I was looking for, but I still thank him. And I thank scuba diving because that was the thing. I mean, if any of you, I don't know if you've been diving before, Adam, or, anyone listening, but jumping into the water for the first time felt like that scene from Stargate, where you're going in another dimension. You're a bit discombobulated. You have all this equipment on you. You have something to breathe with. You have something to see with. And all of a sudden you realize, hey, I can float. There's no gravity really.
It's like another world. It's like another.
It really is.
Yeah, another planet.
And I was like, this is amazing. Why didn't anyone tell me this was possible? I'd seen it on National Geographic or on Discovery Channel, and I was angry. I was pissed off that nobody had told me that this was a possibility, because there was a big chance I would have went my whole life without ever experiencing that. I would have just stayed in my cubicle in LA,
Wow.
went to the clubs every weekend and never experienced this.
Wow. That's wild, by the way. You said something really interesting, because when I was a little kid, right, I know this is hard to imagine, right? No internet, no cable TV, three channels, right? Three channels. And every Sunday night was a show called Wild Kingdom. And it was like my world was built around seeing that at 7 o'clock, Wild Kingdom, Sunday night. It was before the wide world of Disney, right? It was a religion for me. And that's the thing that made me want to travel, because I would watch all these, like, Stan and Marlon Perkins. The joke was Stan was always the one out wrestling the rhino, like they traveled the world and like met all these amazing animals. And so I was like, from such an early age, I got to see this world. It's a beautiful world. And I remember, watching my dad go into New York every day, and all the dads putting on their suits, driving into the city, 7 a.m, coming back at like 8 o'clock by the time they finished traffic, bedraggled, tie loosened, had a drink, kissed mom, had a little dinner with her, and fell asleep reading the paper. And as a little kid, I was like, no way. I'm not going to waste my one life doing this. So that's why I got so interested in you, because you're living exactly what I've sought, to live in pieces since, I'm 15. So you're kind of living the dream.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's reality. I mean, people ask me how long I've been traveling, and sometimes it's embarrassing to say, I think it's been 10 years because it's just like this weird conversation. Like if I meet somebody who's like a backpacker or on a honeymoon or something, and I know it's going to end up being a 3-hour conversation. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, this trip, I've just been here for a few months.
Yeah.
And it's this weird alternative life that I really think is only really possible now with technology, now with, with web apps, now with Wi-Fi. This is it. And if people want to do this and they're not taking advantage of it, they're going to regret it.
What's like 3 things people have to know that they might not know that makes this possible? And then I'm going to ask you, what's like the worst thing that's happened to you? Has there been a time when you're like, what the fuck am I doing? I just want to go home, if that happened. But what's 3 things that people don't know that makes life so easy that makes it easy to do this?
So if everyone's probably read The 4 Hour Workweek. If you haven't, please do. A big part of it was the automation part of it, where I remember in 2007 when I wanted to automate my credit card bill paying, it was pain in the butt. Like it's like you have to like fax things in. Now everything's online. I get my mail scanned. I get my mail sent to my house in Texas. It's not really a house, it's just a place in Texas. It's scanned. I get it emailed to me. I have a phone number that's my California area code. Yeah, that forwards to me. I get everything like is just online in the cloud.
So let's go back. I want to say it. So your phone number is on WhatsApp. It's an American number. So I texted you just a minute ago. It costs you nothing, right? Mm-hmm. On WhatsApp. Yep. The idea of scanning your mail is a really cool idea. I've never heard of that. That's a great idea. Have it sent to an assistant or someone or a parent.
Well, actually, so you can have it sent to your parents. I did that for a while, and honestly, it's a pain in the butt. So just pay for service. They're cheap nowadays. I think I paid $20 a month. Oh, wow. Yeah. And the professional services, mine is actually through an RV park. Why not? So what that allows me to do is allows me to have a legal domicile, which is my RV spot, which I don't even really have an RV on, but that's where I live.
If the IRS is listening, he does. It's just small.
Yeah, just my RV tent. That's where I live.
You got a tent.
And yeah. So I have a spot that and it's my legal domicile. I get my mail there. They scan it. And then I can basically click 3 buttons. I can have it forwarded somewhere, either where I am in the world. I can have it sent to my parents' house or somewhere, pick it up next time. I can have them shred it, or, they can just delete it and never have to deal with any of this BS anymore. And what's so great about it is I've ran businesses for 2 or 3 years completely online and have had, $500,000 worth of revenue. I had, hundreds of customers or thousands of customers, dealt with suppliers, built great relationships just online. They never knew I wasn't in California, and it didn't matter.
Dude, I just created an entire business at a beautiful Airbnb condo on a perfect white sand beach in the Caribbean. Like nobody was on this beach. Pool, hot tub, $85 a night. Created a whole business, did 33 interviews. Nobody knew where I was, and I just sat there and worked all day on the beach and headed out to the beach in the morning and the afternoons. You can be totally location independent. So Airbnb is obviously a tool. This mail is a tool. What else don't people know? What are the secrets?
So automation software is a huge one. So for example, when I would run my e-commerce stores, and here's the thing is I don't want anyone getting the misconception that you can just automate things from day one, because you have nothing to automate yet, right? You don't know what you're doing. You don't have any customers yet. So give yourself 2 or 3 months of doing it yourself. Whatever it is, whatever business it is. I'll use e-commerce as an example because that's what I'm most familiar with. And actually, this was what my talk was about. So if you want to hear the whole talk, you can go on YouTube. It's Johnny FD time hacking. It's actually the
hacking.
Video. Time hacking. Yeah, and I think people will actually really enjoy that video. But basically, for the first 2 or 3 months, I'm running everything myself, and I'm ready. I have an idea of what it takes. What emails I'm getting all the time, what customer service issues I'm getting, what needs to, what orders, what's the process day to day. So in general, once the store is up and running, when I wake up, I have email, inbox full, and it's going to be either new orders, and that can be automated, either through software, just kind of filtering devices.
Right. Sure.
And even just in Gmail, I'm a big fan of just using Gmail's paid service. It's Google Apps for Work. You pay $5 a month. You get it at your domain email account, so it looks really professional. It's not on Gmail, but it's as easy to use as Gmail. Mm-hmm. I create a bunch of filters, and this is free because this is built in Gmail. And you say if it's a new order for this company, just have it forward to this person. If it's a customer service issue, have it forward to this person. If it's something, have it forward to this person. So right away, my email is pretty much automated. I don't have to worry about it. And then if it's a customer service issue, I have a VA that I pay $5 an hour to in the Philippines to take care of it all. If they can't take care of it, it then escalates back to me. But then I can answer that, every few days. It doesn't take me, much time. If it is and most of the customer service issues I realize is all shipping problems. When is my order coming? I'm not going to be home. Can you leave it at the front door? And I found a software called Aftership, which costs almost nothing, costs like pennies per order. And what it does is it basically stocks FedEx or UPS. And anytime there's a tiny change, like your package is now on the truck in this city, or your package is now here, it pings and it basically sends either an email or a text message to your customer. So you are ahead of the game. So as soon as you have the information, your customer is getting, almost kind of bombarded with these emails, and they can unsubscribe if they don't want it. But most people are so happy.
They feel taken care of.
They're so happy. Yeah.
I mean, there's softwares for like you said, totally unexpected. You didn't even know it existed. There's software out there for crazy things. So I guess part of the success of this game is knowing people, like talking to other travel hackers, talking to other digital nomads. That's why I travel. I mean, that's why I went to Colombia. I got invited to a mastermind of digital nomads. I went down there and we stayed for a month, and it was fantastic. Got all my dental work done too, by the way. I'm sure, you know about this, but I had $5,000-$6,000 of dental work done for $800. And we went in there and I said, look, as long as you're doing this, can you do that? And she goes, yeah. And I go, can you clean these? I'm like, can I get vaginal rejuvenation? Can I get, what else can I get? Penis enlargement? What do you got? Throw it in. If it's cheap enough, I'll take it. So we got amazing medical care while we were there, totally professional, which is another great, obvious advantage of traveling. So knowing the right people, like hanging around the right people, and 2 is being a good hunter, right? Being a good hunter for software applications that people may not even know exist.
Well, I think one of the reasons why I've been able to set my life this way is because I started it while I was in Thailand in the worst possible time zone difference in the world, because I would literally have to stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning if I wanted to catch someone during business hours. Right. And I'm a daytime person, but I also don't like waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning to make a call. So I did it, for the first month. I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to work 80 hours a week. I'm going to wake up, at 4 in the morning if I need to. And this is the mentality I think people need to have as an entrepreneur before they start living the 4-hour work week. That comes later.
Whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Absolutely.
Right. And but once it's set up, it is worth it. And, then what I'm a big fan of is spending chunks of time, 2 or 3 months, building a new business or automating one, taking 1 or 2 months to rest and just travel, enjoy yourself, go into maintenance mode, really live a 4-hour work week, and then repeat that process again. Now I have 10 different streams of income. Not only does that give me, much more than 6 figures a year, which allows me to travel and really enjoy life, but I also feel very secure knowing that, hey, if one of them starts dipping down or, isn't going well, I have 9 others to keep me afloat and enjoy life.
Big fan of that myself. I was just talking to someone we'll have on this show named Arnie Giske, who's all of 24 years old. And he was down in Colombia with me, and he was posting and said, so what do you guys think? Is it better to have a high margin business, a high price ticket, high margin business like coaching, or low margin, massive volume? And I'm like, both. Have both, and have a few in the middle as well, because things can go to shit suddenly. And you've got the other ones to keep the boat steady. When the thing that's been working for you suddenly stops working, it happens, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I was really fortunate that, 2 years ago when I was really working hard, I was working, 60, 70 hours a week, even while living in Thailand and just hustling, just saying like every day I'm just going to work. Cause I was broke. I had less than $1,000 in the bank in 2013.
Okay.
And I was like, this is it. I either have to make something work or I have to go back home, live with my parents, find a job, and just hate life again.
What are your parents saying this whole time? What are your parents saying this whole time?
They're like, come home, get a fucking job.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right.
And also, having Asian parents, they were so scared of me, scuba diving or doing Muay Thai. They're like, what are you doing to yourself? And I was like, don't worry, I'll figure it out. And you know what? There was a big chance I wouldn't have figured it out. I think I kind of just got lucky, to be honest. Meeting the right people, going to the right events, reading the right books. And I think that's why I'm so transparent nowadays with my blog, where I actually post my income reports every month and people can see what I'm working on, how much I'm making. I do a big year-end post where I actually kind of just write exactly how much money I made. I even just started uploading some of my tax returns just so people can really just feel comfortable saying, okay, this is real. This lifestyle is real. Yeah. And now that I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years, and I've interviewed 180 people on the podcast who pretty much all do a different business model, I realize it's not just my path that works. This is working for hundreds, if not thousands of people.
I want to make sure everybody got
definitely
that.
Thousands of people.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, tens of thousands. I want to make sure everyone got what you just said. You've done 180 interviews on your Travel Like a Boss podcast, and almost everyone has a different business model. I mean, I know your podcast. Some guys monetize, guys and girls, by the way, monetize blogs still, drop shipping, travel bloggers. People get free travel, content marketing, which I do a lot of. I imagine coaching. What other models are out there?
So many random things. I mean, I have dentists who do second opinion, programs. So if your dentist wants you to get a root canal, they'll look at your x-rays and say, you don't need it. Your dentist is ripping you off. Or I have doctors who will have you do blood tests, and then they'll spend 1 or 2 hours actually going over the results with you, instead of your doctor having 10 minutes. We have accountants that do things online. We have people who, publish games on iPhones that they're not even making the games, they're reskinning it. So they're buying pre-made games, and then changing the character from Mario to, a frog or something, to fit some niche. I mean, it's insane. I think this is why I like doing it so much, is because every week I get shocked and surprised, thinking like, what are you doing? And how much do you make? And how does this work?
Wow. I love that. It's so funny. When I was young, traveling before the internet, I was picking cherries in Denmark. I painted houses in Holland. I sure wasn't building a 6-figure business. I love your message, man. Your message is, and I think it's coming through really clear, is that there's really almost endless possibilities. You know, the whole theme of this podcast is live your bold life. Like, decide how you want to live your life and then figure out how to make it happen. I think what you're getting across is that, you know, there's really no limits. If you want to hustle, if you want to put in the time, learn, it's not like there's one way to do this. There's so many ways to do this. Now, one question I always love asking people who travel a lot, because I had a few brushes with death and some rough people here and there. What's been your like toughest situation?
I mean, like just from last month, I would say.
Your parents aren't listening. Your parents aren't listening. Your Asian parents aren't, you know, they're
yeah, it's fine. I mean, I was doing a walking safari in Nepal, where you basically just walk through the jungle for 2 days, and we come across a wild rhinoceros, just like, you know, like 20 feet away from me. And my guide is like, slowly back away. And I'm like, no, I want to get a photo of it. He's like, back the fuck away. It can charge you. And then actually, so 2 weeks before that, I was in the Himalayas, and I was super high, and you know, in the mountain with altitude,
super high,
like in altitude, just like high in the mountain. You know, we just crossed 10,000 feet, and I start getting just sick. My body just starts shutting down. You know, I think I start with the flu, then I get strep throat, and then I get altitude sickness, and I get something else, and just like, I'm like, this, you know, I feel like I'm dying. I feel like every day that passes, my body is just kind of giving up more and more. I think I lost like, you know, 12 pounds, you know, over a few days. And eventually I was like, you know what, here's $30. Can you take me on your motorcycle back down? But you know, these are kind of experiences that I think we allow us to grow. You know, I think our bodies are pretty resilient. Our minds are pretty resilient. I think actually the worst thing is if you never have these, you know, bad experiences and you just have a comfortable life. And I think this is what a lot of people strive for, is to not have any worries ever, not have any uncomfortable, you know, days. Right. You want to sleep in your comfortable bed every night. You want your comfortable couch every day. Right. You don't want to change it up. And that leads, I really believe, to unhappiness and depression, because if you have no downs, you can't really enjoy the highs.
Yeah. Plus it's an illusion, you know, the comfort of the supposed security of comfort. It's an illusion. It's just a holding pattern. You know, You're never really safe. You're going to die.
We're all going to die someday. You know, we can all die tomorrow. So the only real question is, if you did get hit by a bus tomorrow, you know, or a bus flew into your house and killed you while you're in your bed, right? You know, which is probably just as likely. You know, would you regret not seeing the world? Would you regret not traveling? Would you regret not doing the things that you wanted to do? Would you regret, you know, what would you regret? And for me, I feel like I've lived so many lifetimes already. I've seen so many places, you know, I've done so many things that if I died today, it would suck. I don't want to die, but I'd be like, okay, you know, at least I lived a good life.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I told my kids, I said, if I died, well, I hope I don't, but if I die, like, don't mourn me, just totally celebrate me. I've had a great life so far. You know, I traveled in my 20s, raised you guys in my 30s. I lived my 20s and my 40s because I got married at 23. So I had an amazing 40s. Now actually my 50s, it's just everything's full force, traveling a lot. Just everything's wonderful. I'm happy because I never settled like you. Like, I lasted a year on Wall Street. I used to, by the way, like, you had your, what was it? Costco shirts. I used to come home on a fucking bus from my job in Wall Street in my suit and get in the bed and pull the covers over my head in my shoes, in my suit. I was so depressed I couldn't even take my clothes off, and I would go to sleep at 7:00. That's how bad it was. So I get it. Let me ask you one more question. I'm really curious. You know, it's like it's the big thing these days. You know, self-care, maximize your day, optimize. You know, the Tim Ferriss created Monsters. And the latest one is Aubrey Marcus, who I don't know if you follow from On It. You know, he just came out with a book called Own the Day, right? And there is something about routines that successful people develop. It's something I've been really interested in because I travel a lot, and I just got home after 2.5 months traveling last week. And, you know, I got my hot tub, I got my books, I got my, you know, home gym. Like, I can take care of myself here. When I travel, it's hard to take care of myself. So what routines do you have to, like, take care of yourself, self-care, stay in shape, stay optimized? Do you have any routines, or are you in the Tim Ferriss boat of self-optimizers, or do you just wander?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a big fan of it. But to be honest, it's really difficult when you're changing countries all the time.
Yeah.
And, when you're waking up at 7 a.m. to catch a ferry to another island, and you don't have time to do it. And I value my sleep, so I don't want to wake up at 4 in the morning just to go to the gym. But what I really try to do is I try to have blocks where whenever I do, I'm in a place for long enough, and I really try to make it so I'm not moving cities or countries, every 3 days just to check off my bucket list, or just to, you know, to get to to be able to say I've been to 100 countries. I'd rather just enjoy fully wherever I am, and that way I can join a gym. I like in Nepal, I bought a 1 week's gym pass, and people that I was traveling with, they're like, "What? You have a gym membership? Like, why?" And it's because I value just keeping my routine, staying in shape. And some of the best things that I do, and I write about this on my blog quite a bit, johnnyfd.com, is balancing the travel, the business, as well as the health aspect, or the mental health, as well as kind of just you health, right? And so the first thing I do is I always step outside, as naked as possible, and just get some sun and air, first in the morning. Just wake up, even here, if I'm staying in a hotel, I'll just walk out to the lobby, out of the lobby, out on the street, and just stand there in the sun for a few minutes, walk around the block before I come back in to, hop on a call, or check email, or even have breakfast.
Get your circadian rhythms in motion.
Yeah, exactly. I find time to do some kind of exercise, even if you're just doing 10 burpees a day. Imagine if you just did 10 burpees a day, but you never missed a day your whole life, you'd probably be in pretty good shape, and it literally takes, less than a minute.
Right.
And it's really about consistency. And, for me though, to be honest, like if I want to really dedicate and have a good routine, I need to be in one place. So, what I've been doing now is, aside from the travel stints for 1 or 2 months, I'll then get an Airbnb for 2 or 3 months at a time and just stay there.
Yeah.
Join a gym, join a co-working space. So I'm not working from home alone. I'm around people, and which also gives me an excuse to go for a walk in the morning to the office, or go for a bike ride to the office, and have the balance of both. Because I really think that it's not possible to do this for 10 years or even 2 years and not get burnt out if you're just living on a backpack traveling all the time.
You just said the office. I want people to understand what you mean when you say go to the office, because obviously you don't bring that. Oh, I know what it is. It's that RV from Texas that follows you around the world. I assume it's a co-working space.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of co-working spaces. I never work from home. I think you need to separate your life and be around other people. And this is what's so cool about being in places with digital nomads. Now, there's a website called coworker.com. It's kind of like the TripAdvisor for co-working spaces. Every city I've been to, there's a co-working space popping up.
There you go. That's great.
There's cities like Chiang Mai, and this is why we have the Nomad Summit there every January. It's the Mecca. It's like you go there, and it feels like your first year of college. Everybody there is excited to meet each other. Everyone's excited to like people literally knocking doors, like, hey, you want to go have dinner?
My friends there. Why Chiang Mai? Why? It's because it's not on the beach. It's up in the mountains. Right?
Yeah, it's weird because I think nomads dream about having a co-working space on the beach or living on an island, and I've done it, and I've been to 10 of them. I firmly believe that we want the opposite of what we currently have, but once we're fulfilled in that aspect, we're done with it. So I do encourage when people come to Thailand for the first time, just go straight to the beach. And there's a couple places in the south. There's Koh Lanta and there's Koh Phangan that have decent co-working spaces, have a decent community, but it's on a beautiful beach. Go there for 2 months, get it out of your system, enjoy it. And then when you're ready for a normal city life again, and you want some of the benefits of having, let's say, like, nice cinemas, or like movie theaters, if you want to have like nicer grocery stores, if you want to have a place where you can, get a new MacBook charger if needed without having to hop on a ferry to another island, this is when you go back to Chiang Mai, because you then have a kind of like a normal city life. I really feel like it's the best balance. Chiang Mai is cheap. People are super friendly. It's surrounded by nature. So you have mountains, you have lakes, you have, rooftop swimming pools.
Oh, nice.
It really is a beautiful place.
What are the
And
big?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
no, no.
I
Uh,
got me thinking. I was just in Medellin. Medellin is also a big digital nomad hangout because it's cheap and it's relatively beautiful. I mean, the food is incredible, really cheap. What are some of the other hotspots? I think Barcelona is one these days. Estonia seems to be one. Iceland, in some ways. Where are people hanging? What are the hotspots these days?
so for the last 3 years, my goal has been to visit just all the hotspots because I want an alternative to Chiang Mai. First, just in case Chiang Mai one day, isn't welcoming anymore, or
Right.
I'm not happy there. I want to find another spot, or just to check them out. And honestly, I've been to 30 different ones that people list on the top, saying, "Oh, this is the next Chiang Mai, this next Chiang Mai," and none of them compare. Chiang Mai right now, as of 2018, nothing compares. It's such a vast difference. I've been to Saigon, I've been to Bali, I've been all over Europe and Berlin. I've been to these places and they're good. I'm glad they're there because eventually they're going to start building up. The only place that I would consider the alternative Chiang Mai, and it's really good for Europeans, is a place called Gran Canary. It's an island off of Africa, but it's owned by Spain. So you have
Yes.
all the benefits of Europe, all the comforts of Europe, but then the weather's good year round because it's near Africa.
Right. No, the Canary Islands. Absolutely. That's awesome, man. Well, I just on one more question on the self care thing. Do you supplement? I mean, just for all the health nuts in my community,
Yes.
like, how do you take care of food and stuff?
So the funny thing is, when I first started traveling, I had, half my luggage was supplements, protein powders, different
Right, right.
things, and especially when I was doing Muay Thai,
Mhm.
and I realized first I don't want to carry so many things. Second, I try to get everything through nutrition and food and through sunlight. So the only two things that I supplement with is in the mornings I take vitamin D in liquid form. I
Mhm.
think it has some K2 for absorption. A side benefit of having it is if you ever get sick and the immune system is a bit low, you can take a mega dose. You can take like an entire vial full, like a 20 dose shot, supercharges your immune system. You're not going to be able to sleep that day, but it works like a charm. Uh,
Great.
the only other supplement I take is at night. I take a ZMA stack, which is just zinc and magnesium.
Mhm.
Uh, it's good to help you sleep. So if, combats jet lag if you're moving around, changing time zones. That's also a natural testosterone booster, which is good for men, especially as you get older.
Right. I look forward to that one day. Hey, Johnny, this is great talking to you, man. I want people to be able to follow you. You have a podcast called Travel Like a Boss podcast. Great podcast, by the way. Super informative. JohnnyFD.com is your blog. Is that right?
Yep.
And obviously you have a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you just go on any platform, YouTube, or then just search for Johnny FD, you can find me. And actually, I have another podcast where we just talk about investing because I really
Oh,
think that investments are the ultimate form of passive income, and that's called Invest Like a Boss.
beautiful. Johnny, you live a great life. You're an inspiration, man. I love meeting you. Love having you out there. And we will meet in Chiang Mai or somewhere
Dude,
exotic.
I would love for you to come out. The next Nomad Summit is the week of January 19th, 2019.
All right, I'm there.
But come a few days early, come stay a few days later because we have events, that whole week before and after.
Sweet.
And last year we had 400 digital nomads show up. This year we're planning on 600 plus. So it's going to be an amazing event. And I think a lot of people have it in their calendars saying like, no matter what, I'm going to make it happen by January. I'm going to create my first passive income source, or I'm going to start working my business, or I'm going to automate my existing one so I can spend all of January, maybe even all of February in Chiang Mai.
No, that's great. We like to do 2 months at a time. That's a good chunk. So we'll come out there. Johnny, what a pleasure meeting you, man. Enjoy Athens. I assume you've seen the Parthenon. You've been up the hill.
It's gorgeous. I would say, Athens or Greece in general and Rome and Italy are the
Oh,
two
yeah.
kind of most beautiful places in Europe. You have to do it. It's one of those like must do things. But to be honest, you can do this, any time of your life, even when you're older. I would encourage people to go to places like Nepal or Thailand, especially when they're younger, because that's kind of like an adventure.
Yeah, luckily I did my Nepal trekking when I was 25, so about 3 years ago. So it wasn't so bad.
There you go.
All right, buddy. I look forward to talking to you soon, and I'll see you January 19th in Chiang Mai.
See you guys.